What if I told you that one man changed the world not once, but twice, and that without him, modern life as we know it wouldn't exist? This is the story of Henry Ford, a farm boy who failed repeatedly, went bankrupt, and was nearly 40 years old before he found success. But when he did, he didn't just build cars, he revolutionized how everything in the world is made. And then, he did something even more radical that created the middle class and the consumer society we live in today. This is the story of the man who changed the world twice. The American Civil War is raging, and on a small farm in Michigan, Henry Ford is born into a world that runs on horses, candles, and back-breaking manual labor. His father is a farmer who expects Henry to take over the family business. But young Henry hates farming. He's obsessed with machines. At age 13, he sees a steam-powered traction engine on the road, and it changes his life forever. He's mesmerized. He spends hours talking to the engineer, learning how it works. From that moment, Henry knows what he wants to do with his life. He wants to build machines. At 16, Henry leaves the farm and moves to Detroit. He becomes a machinist apprentice, earning just $2.50 a week. He's learning everything he can about engines, gears, and mechanics. But here's the thing, Henry isn't some instant genius. He struggles. He bounces between jobs. He even goes back to the farm for a while, feeling defeated. But he never gives up on his dream. In 1891, at age 28, he gets a job as an engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company. Finally, steady work. Finally, some money. But Henry is working on something in secret. In a tiny shed behind his house, he's building his first automobile. He works late into the night, every night, for years. His neighbors think he's crazy. His wife Clara supports him, but everyone else thinks he's wasting his time on a stupid hobby. Then, on June 4th, 1896, at 2 in the morning, it's ready. Henry fires up his first car, the quadricycle. There's just one problem. The car is too big to fit through the shed door. So what does Henry do? He grabs an axe and smashes down part of the wall. Then he drives his car through the streets of Detroit at 4 a.m. It works. Henry Ford has built his first automobile. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Because building a car and building a successful car company are two completely different things. Henry tries to start his first company in 1899, the Detroit Automobile Company. It fails within 2 years. He tries again in 1901 with the Henry Ford Company. That fails too. His investors kick him out of his own company. Henry's nearly 40 years old, he's failed twice, and he's running out of money and chances. Most people would have given up, but not Henry Ford. In 1903, he tries one more time. With just $28,000 from a few loyal investors, he founds the Ford Motor Company. And this time, something is different. Henry has a vision. Everyone else is building expensive luxury cars for rich people. Henry wants to build a car that ordinary people can afford, a car for the masses. His investors think he's insane, but Henry is determined. For 5 years, Ford experiments with different models. The Model A, Model B, Model C, all the way through the alphabet. Some sell okay, some don't, but Henry is learning, improving, figuring out what works. And then, in 1908, everything changes. Henry Ford introduces the Model T. The Model T is simple, reliable, and tough. It can handle the terrible roads of rural America. It's easy to repair, and most importantly, it's affordable. At $850, it's still expensive, but it's half the price of most other cars. The Model T is an instant hit. Ford sells over 10,000 Model Ts in the first year. But Henry Ford isn't satisfied. He has a bigger vision. He wants to make cars so cheap that every working person in America can afford one. But there's a problem. Building cars is slow and expensive. Each car is built by skilled craftsmen, one at a time. It takes hours and hours of labor. The production process is the bottleneck. And this is where Henry Ford changes the world for the first time. In 1913, Ford introduces the moving assembly line to automobile manufacturing. Now, instead of workers moving around a stationary car, the car moves past stationary workers. Each worker does one specific task over and over: install the engine, attach the wheels, paint the door. It's simple, it's repetitive, and it's absolutely revolutionary. Before the assembly line, it took 12 hours to build a single Model T. After the assembly line, it takes 93 minutes. Let that sink in. Ford reduced production time by almost 90%. This isn't just an improvement, this is a complete transformation of manufacturing, and the effects ripple out across the entire economy. Because now, Ford can produce cars faster and cheaper than anyone else in the world. The price of a Model T drops from $850 in 1908 to just $260 by 1925. Henry Ford has made the automobile accessible to ordinary people. America becomes a nation on wheels. But the assembly line does something else, something even more profound. It becomes the template for how everything is made in the modern world. Radios, refrigerators, televisions, computers, smartphones, everything. The assembly line is one of the most important innovations in human history. It creates the modern industrial economy. It creates mass production. It creates consumer culture. Henry Ford changed the world, but he's not done yet. Here's the problem with the assembly line. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's mind-numbing work. Workers hate it. Ford is experiencing massive turnover. Workers quit after just a few weeks. Some days, Ford has to hire 60 new workers just to keep 100 positions filled. The company's bleeding money on training costs. Something has to change. And then, on January 5th, 1914, Henry Ford makes an announcement that shocks the world. He's going to pay his workers $5 a day. $5 a day! This is more than double the average wage of $2.34. Newspapers call him insane. Other business owners are furious. They say Ford is a traitor to capitalism, that he's going to destroy the economy. The Wall Street Journal writes that Ford's plan is, quote, economic blunders, if not crimes. Economists predict Ford Motor Company will go bankrupt within a year. But Henry Ford understands something that no one else does. He's not just being generous, he's being strategic. First, the $5 a day solves his turnover problem instantly. Workers stop quitting. People line up by the thousands outside Ford's factory, desperate for jobs. Ford can now hire the best workers and keep them. Training costs plummet. Productivity skyrockets. But Ford's thinking even bigger than that. He realizes that his workers are also potential customers. If he pays them enough, they can afford to buy the cars they're building. Ford is creating his own market. He's creating a middle class with purchasing power. And it works. Ford's profits explode. In 1914, Ford makes $30 million in profit. By 1920, that number is $60 million. The $5 a day isn't charity, it's genius business strategy. But the effects go far beyond Ford Motor Company. Other companies are forced to raise wages to compete for workers. Wages across America start rising. Working class people suddenly have disposable income. They can buy cars, appliances, radios, and homes. Consumer culture is born. The American middle class is born. The modern economy, where ordinary people have enough money to buy the products they produce, that's Henry Ford's creation. Think about it. Before Ford, the economy was based on a small number of wealthy people buying luxury goods. After Ford, the economy is based on millions of middle-class people buying affordable goods. This is the foundation of modern capitalism. This is the consumer society we still live in today. Henry Ford changed the world a second time. By 1920, Henry Ford is one of the richest and most famous men in the world. Ford Motor Company produces half of all cars in America. The Model T is everywhere. Ford's assembly line is copied around the globe. His $5 day has transformed labor relations. Henry Ford has changed how we make things and how we live. He's changed the world twice. But here's the thing about revolutionary figures. They're complicated, they're flawed, and Henry Ford is no exception. Ford became increasingly stubborn and controlling as he got older. He refused to update the Model T even as competitors like General Motors offered cars in different colours and styles. Ford famously said customers could have a Model T in any colour they wanted, as long as it was black. By 1927, GM had overtaken Ford in sales. Ford was forced to shut down production for months to retool his factories for a new model. Ford also had a very dark side. He was a notorious anti-Semite who published a newspaper filled with conspiracy theories and hateful propaganda. He accepted a medal from Nazi Germany in 1938. His legacy is forever stained by these actions. Henry Ford was a genius and a bigot, a visionary and a tyrant, a revolutionary who changed the world and a man with deeply troubling beliefs. So what's the lesson here? Henry Ford's story teaches us that one person with determination and vision can literally change the world. Not through politics or war, but through innovation and ideas. Ford didn't invent the automobile. He didn't even invent the assembly line, but he perfected them, he scaled them, he made them accessible to everyone, and in doing so he created the modern world. The world of mass production, the world of consumer culture, the world of the middle class. We live in the world Henry Ford built, for better and for worse. That's the legacy of the man who changed the world twice.